Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Jay, here to talk about the 95th Annual Academy Awards, which airs tonight, hosted by Jimmy Kimmel. Let's hope, guys, that nobody, it's not a repeat of last year and nobody gets slapped just for a simple joke. I don't think anybody's going to walk up to the stage tonight and slap Jimmy Kimmel, but hey, you never know. I think the Academy Awards got some of the biggest ratings and some of the biggest buzz within the media after Will Smith did what he did last year to Chris Rock. But we'll see what happens. Some of the awards that I'm looking forward to uh, this year are Brendan Fraser in The Whale. Yeah, hey Lisa, what's going on? Yeah, I do think they're gonna make a joke out of it, and they're probably gonna do something where somebody like Colin Farrell, whose movie is nominated, the Irish movie, The Banshees of Inisherin, probably gonna go up to Jimmy Kimmel and slap him, or some kind of other actor is gonna probably go up to me. I say Colin Farrell because Colin Farrell uh, back in the day had a reputation uh, for being a bad boy, quote unquote, in Hollywood. And this movie that he's nominated for is a 19 uh, set in the Irish independence movement of the 1920s, and is about the Irish Civil War, one of the many Irish civil wars, but particularly this one um, related to the Irish War of Independence. But to Lisa's question, yes, I do think they're going to make a joke out of it. Um, some of the actors and actresses that I'm rooting for, Brendan Fraser in The Whale, which we did a review on in this channel. I'm rooting for him uh, to win the award for Best Actor. Best Supporting Actress, I'm rooting for Angela Bassett in um, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Um, Best Picture, that's an interesting one. Best Picture is very interesting because usually when it comes to Best Picture in the past, they've never really given it to action, adventure, science fiction, speculative fiction type movies. Oscars have usually shunned those types of movies and gone for more historical type dramas like The Banshees of Inisherin or All Quiet on the Western Front, which is also nominated, or biographical films like Elvis is nominated this year. But this year, the odds on favorite is Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is a movie that I've never really heard of, but I just looked it up right now. I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna front. I just looked it up right now to see what it is, and it has 11 nominations. And it stars Andre 3000 of Outcast fame, and it's basically a science fiction martial arts type movie. It's about Asian American identity, ADHD, and generational gap, and a bunch of societal issues coached um, in this science fiction, speculative fiction movie. Another one, Avatar: Way of Water, is also nominated for Best Picture. So James Cameron might pick up the Best Picture nomination for Avatar: Way of Water. One thing I do say though, it's kind of messed up that they didn't nominate Black Panther: Wakanda Forever in the Best Picture category, because if you're going to go for the best speculative fiction, the best science fiction movie, and you're going to finally break that barrier, which the Oscars has never done. They've never given a Best Picture nomination to a movie like this. Like I said, it should have been The Dark Knight 2008, or Black Panther 2018, or Wakanda Forever this year. But no, they go with these obscure movies that no one's ever heard of, or Avatar, one of the Way of Water, the movie that came after Black Panther and basically copied a lot of the motifs of Black Panther. People could say, well, it was already written. How can you say that it's copied off of? Still, when they saw the success of Black Panther, they could have copied off that. They could have used some elements of that. You guys never know. Um, so that right there is messed up. Other than that, All Quiet on the Western Front is one that I think is an odds-on favorite. It is a remake of a 1930s movie based on a novel about German soldiers in World War One. It's a Netflix movie. My friend Chris Kanya turned me on to it. Of course, a big history buff. He's a big history buff. He always talking about World War One. World War One is a very obscure war. You know, our educational system mainly focuses on World War Two. If they do focus on a war, so maybe All Quiet on the Western Front will win. Of course, The Whale. I love it. Elvis. Eh, it was an okay biography movie. Didn't do a review on it because I thought it was not worth talking about. But if you guys want me to do a review on it, I will. Lisa says, "What do I think about the Woman King not being?" Yeah, well, that's another one. The Woman King was an absolute uh, failure critically, and it did okay commercially, but a lot of people didn't like it. But Fableman was an absolute commercial failure, and Fableman is nominated. So if a semi-autographical picture, if a semi-autographical biopic of Steven Spielberg is of more historical significance than an actual history movie of um, 19th century West Africa and what really went down in the slave trade, especially an obscure warrior kingdom like the Yabmoje, then Hollywood is just talking to itself because the life of Steven Spielberg, although he is one of the greatest artists of the 20th century, doesn't impact the world in a way like a movie like The Woman King does. So Lisa's absolutely right. That not getting a nomination is a travesty. You know, they want to focus on historical movies like All Quiet on the Western Front or that or Fableman. But Fableman, hardly anybody saw that. Uh, Everything Everywhere All at Once, hardly anybody saw that. The Whale, Lisa and I saw it, and it was pretty good, but it was also very obscure. So any movie that anybody they're saying, okay, well, it, Woman King wasn't a box office smash, but other than Avatar: The Way of Water, neither were any of these. The Banshees of Inisherin, not a smash hit. All Quiet on the Western Front was a Netflix movie, not a smash hit. Elvis was a smash hit, but it left a lot to be desired. So, uh, yeah, it sucks that Viola Davis didn't get anything, not even the Best Actress nomination. Women Talking, also another movie that nobody's ever heard of. Lisa saying, actually, Lisa's correcting me. Thank you, Lisa. Actually, it was a state number one for more than 2 weeks in the box office. Yeah, but it was in the theaters when it came out. At least it wasn't that competitive. It didn't have to compete with the Christmas or summer seasons, which typically for Hollywood films is the time when it's really commercially viable. But commercial viability doesn't really matter to the Oscars that much anyway, because if that were the case, how come a Marvel movie has never won an Academy Award? How come a Star Wars movie has never won an Academy Award? How come a Terminator movie has never won an Academy Award? Um, Box office success doesn't necessarily translate to artistic viability, not in the eyes of the Oscars anyway. They always nominate obscure movies that you have to fish out that nobody's ever heard of, with actors that nobody's ever heard of, with scenarios that are really obscure and really on a personal level. They favor dramas. They don't really favor speculative fiction type movies. So you would think that The Woman King would be right up their alley, but for some reason it wasn't. I believe that the negative backlash that um, it received by a lot of men uh, for its political, its obvious political messaging was the reason why the Oscars didn't go for it. But then again, the Oscars is super woke. You know what I mean? So uh, I guarantee you tonight they will mention something about LGBT politics. They will mention something that has to do with quote unquote wokeism. So I can't really explain, Lisa, why they didn't nominate especially Viola Davis for her part in The Woman King, at least for Best Actress. I don't know about Best Picture. I don't feel it was up there on that level. But as far as Best Actress or even Best Supporting Actress, should have been. Lisa saying because it's all, uh, but again, an all black and an all female cast. The Oscars is super woke. I mean, you know that at least they at least they perform wokeism. I don't know if they're not actually woke. I mean, Hollywood celebrities are, and the Academy of Arts and Sciences are kind of weird because on the one hand, they claim to be super woke and they love to virtue signal. They love to pretend. Yeah, he's just saying they're woke when it comes to LGBTQ issues. Yeah, I think that was one of the issues why it didn't have an overt lesbian relationship between Viola Davis' character and the girl. Maybe if they had, they'd have went for it. All these other movies, all these other movies, including The Whale, have LGBTQ advocacy stuff. You know what I mean? So, but then again, Black Panther doesn't really have it. But maybe they feel like um, Wakanda Forever doesn't really have it. So maybe they feel like because Angela Bassett's an OG, because she been in the game for so many years, that she deserves it. But in a way, I don't really lend credence to the Oscars anyway. Some of my favorite films, some of the biggest travesties that I feel like should have won Oscars, didn't win Oscars. For example, Denzel Washington for Malcolm X in 1992. That's the biggest glaring one that stands out to me. That Denzel eventually did win the Oscar for Training Day, but like Jada Kiss said, Denzel had to go crooked before he took it. You know what I mean? So when he should have took it in '92 for Malcolm X, he didn't. But he did for Training Day, playing a crooked cop in Los Angeles. So, but Lisa is absolutely correct. Wokeism, when it comes to LGBT stuff, is big with them. Look at Moonlight. Biography films are big with them. Look at what Will, like King Richard, uh, was all right, but he won the Oscar for last year. But really, the performance that he should have won the Oscar for was his performance of Ali. You know, portraying the life of Muhammad Ali. So I sometimes don't lend credence to it. Who remembers from a couple of years ago when a Korean-based movie Parasite won the Oscar? Nobody ever seen it. You know, and everybody was upset. Like, how can this movie that nobody's ever seen nor heard of win uh, the freaking Oscar? You know, they don't. If they were going by if they were going by box office numbers, 2019 would have went to the Joker or even Avengers Endgame more so than that. But Hollywood, again, if you put an LGBT subplot in a movie, you're guaranteed to win an award of some kind. Or if it's a movie that portrays, if it's a black movie, it has to portray the black population in a negative light, in a defeatist light. For example, 2009's Precious, right? And Lisa says they need all new people to be voting. Lisa, she's absolutely right. They do. Because the fact that this Elvis movie, uh, this is the one of the biggest travesties in my opinion. Because this movie, well, it was an okay biography movie, and it was a long-awaited biography movie because this man has been uh, the second biggest uh, well-known celebrity in some people's mind behind Michael Jackson since 1956. And it wasn't a great biography movie. It wasn't greater than I Want to Dance with Somebody. That's for sure. It was an average to to mediocre biography movie about a celebrity that most young people, most a celebrity who is not relevant in the lives of most young people. In fact, the man is often maligned for his his inauthenticity. So it's showing you that old people are voting for this. The people that were listening to his music, when people watching his shitty movies from the 50s and 60s, not young people, not people that are millennials, and definitely not people that are Zoomers. You know what I mean? Because Elvis's life meant nothing to us. You know what I mean? And the movie in itself, it wasn't like, okay, a movie like 2004's Ray, right? That he's an icon from a different era and is teaching us something about him that we didn't already know. With Elvis, nobody really learned anything in that Elvis movie that they didn't already know about the man going in. In fact, a lot of the more traumatic stuff and the conspiratorial stuff that attracts people to the life of Elvis and the role of the Memphis Mafia, his group of friends, and some of the hits that were put on him by the mob and stuff was not even touched on in the film. You know, and some of his more controversial things, about his life. The drugs was touched on, but the fact that he basically died on the toilet and all that, none of that was touched on. The movie made him seem like he was saint. You know what I mean? They made him seem like he did nothing. Like, yeah, they portrayed him as a victim of Colonel Tom Parker's fraudulence, and they covered that part, but they didn't cover a lot of the extortion uh, by the mafia and some of the murder plots and some of the conspiracies that were involved with his life and some of the shadier things he did, especially with regards to race. In fact, in the movie itself, they made it seem like he was a staunch racial advocate. So, a staunch advocate for racial equality, and in fact, that wasn't the case. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's been revisions by some people that have said, well, he wasn't as racist as the media portrayed, and that article where he said the only thing a black man can do for me is shine my shoes. That was a false quote attributed to him, and maybe that wasn't true. But he wasn't the racial crusader that the movie makes him out to be. In fact, he was aligned with a rather right wing agenda towards the end of his life. He actually met with met and had political counsel with Richard Nixon uh, in the late 70s, and I think worked undercover with him with his anti-drug task force, which of course anything by the Republican Party then and now that is anti-drug is actually coded racism to target racial minorities. Back then it was heroin. Today it's fentanyl and other stuff. In the 80s it was crack cocaine. So when they talk about this war on drugs or a war on illegal substances, it's always to target minorities. So the fact that he was involved, Elvis was as a special agent in that sort of stuff, to me, shows his political ideas and his political ideology. In fact, they only cover the early part of his life in the movie when the conservatives at the time in Memphis, Tennessee were trying to have him arrested for, integrating his concerts and being a white guy to bring black music to the masses. But they don't cover the latter part of his life when he became more conservative and active on the political right. So, you know, they cover him as a saintly figure, and there were some things that he was pro racial integration about, but there were other things that he was, a little some shady part of his life that they glossed over. So, what I mean? That, in a sense, made it a bad biography movie. And also, on top of that, um, they portray it as the black artists like Big Mama Thornton and Arthur Big Boy Crudup that he copied from, that they acknowledge, which I'm very surprised they do because most Elvis fans don't acknowledge that he copied from those artists or anything like that. They act like he made up those songs when they know for a fact it's written in history he didn't. The movie doesn't cover that up, but the movie makes it seem like those black artists were okay with him copying their songs when really they weren't because they sued him, later on. A lot of them. You know, you know what I mean. So they portray him as a saintly figure, and Austin Butler did a good job portraying him. Not to say nothing about Austin Butler's performance of him, but at the same time, like I said with the Whitney Houston movie, if you're gonna do a biography movie of a person, it has to be you have to tell the good as well as the bad. You can't just tell the good and make them out to be a saintly figure. I know they always do that with biography movies. Hell, look at look at Gandhi. Gandhi, uh, Ben Kingsley playing Gandhi portrays Gandhi as this saintly figure, and I know for a lot of Indians he was, but for a lot of other Indians he wasn't, especially um, and his treatment of untouchables and his questionable past about with regards to pedophilia, which also in the Elvis's life they don't cover that either. The questionable stuff about pedophilia, which is highly hypocritical because we're supposed to be in a Me Too era. So, and with Gandhi, same thing. They don't cover the race his racial comments that he made against black people when he was a lawyer in South Africa. So a lot of these biography movies, the bad ones, always make the person that is the subject of the biography out to be a saint, when in reality nobody's a saint and nobody's a sinner. We're all a mixture of sinners and saints, and it makes for a more interesting movie when you see the bad sides as well as the good. What did Denzel Washington say in the movie Fences? You gotta take the crookeds with the straights. But yeah, Lisa's absolutely right. We need new people voting. And I would love to see some of our favorite movies, since they're doing streaming service movies, some of our favorite icons get their flowers, as you were. You know what I mean? What about Wu Tang American Saga? That's a pretty good autobiographical movie about a musical legend. What about I Want to Dance with Somebody? People say that I Want to Dance with Somebody. Lisa was telling me it came out too late to be considered for Oscar nomination, but I would have loved to have seen it, man. But that's pretty much the categories that I'm paying attention to. Uh, Best actor and best supporting actor. Angela Bassett deserves it, man. Um, she's been in the game so long. She played anybody who was anybody. She's played. Um, she played both Coretta Scott King, and Betty Shabazz. She's played Tina Turner. She's played Valletta Wallace. Anybody who's anybody. Angela Bassett has touched on it and played it. She's a legend in the industry, and her role as um, the mother of T'Challa in Wakanda Forever. Yeah, Katherine Jackson, MJ's mother in Jackson's American Dream. So she definitely deserves it. Brandon Fraser, like I said in The Whale, comeback. I followed his career ever since Encino Man. So, and the movie was good. It touched me. Sadie Sink, she's up for the same award that of Stranger Things fame for as Angela Bassett. So I don't want. Obviously, I'm not rooting for her to win because I want Angela Bassett to win this one. But proves that she has a bright future ahead of her. Um, and as far as Best Picture, I don't know, man. Avatar: Way of Water might win. I That'd be my first prediction, just because I don't know, Hollywood loved that movie, even though I thought it was kind of boring. But and unoriginal, they used the same plot from the 2009 version. But we have to wait and see, man. Maybe All Quiet on the Western Front will win. Maybe Women Talking will win. Maybe The Banshees of Inertia will win. We gotta wait and see. But I think Avatar: Way of Water will take the big one. I don't know about um animated movies. There's no. Lisa says she hopes not. And let's see what happens as far as excitement in the Oscars. Because nine for nine, guys. Um, the Chris Rock Will Smith incident from last year added a lot more excitement to the Oscars, more excitement than ever been in the Oscars in the last 4 or 5 years. The last time they were really talking about the freaking Oscars before that was when they got it wrong and they announced La La Land as the best picture when it was really Moonlight. You know what I mean? It has to be something going on, something amiss, something wrong for them to even talk about the biggest nights in the history, the biggest nights in the movies. Let's look that up, Lisa, right now. Lisa saying she don't know what animated movies are coming are nominated. Oh, we missed a big one, Lisa. We didn't watch this one together, nor did I watch this one alone. But Guillermo del Toro, uh, Guillermo del Toro's remake of Pinocchio um, is nominated. Yeah, so that's automatically my pick because um, I like Guillermo del Toro. Remember when he came out uh, years ago with that woman that movie. What was it? The one where the movie The Shape of Water. Uh, the movie with Octavia Spencer, where that one lady in the tub has sex. Oh, Turning Red. Okay, yeah, with that beast. So he's all right. And that one Best Picture one year. So that might win Best Picture again this year. Who knows? But Turning Red, I think, yeah, will take it. But we gotta see. Turning Red might take it, but if not, Pinocchio. Pinocchio is a classic, but I didn't see the new ones. But it is a classic tale. At least the one that came out in 1940, the Disney version, the original Disney. Um, so, but usually the Oscars is super boring, and I'm gonna watch some of it, but others of it I'm just gonna ignore. Just the ones I care about. Guys, the awards I talked about, I'm not gonna watch every single award that they give out, but I'm gonna watch some of it. And I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell button to see my next video is coming out. Love you guys. Thank you, Lisa, for contributing. And let's pull for Angela Bassett, especially to win in best supporting actress role for Wakanda Forever. Peace.